Whatculture.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion! Just joking, I've never been. The Haunted Mansion is one of the most popular attractions at all the Disney parks, and since opening its doors at Disneyland way back in 1969, it's been terrifying and entertaining our souls with equal delight. I'm Ben from Whatculture, and here are 10 things you're dying to know about the Haunted Mansion. Number 10. The HATBOX Ghost. The HATBOX Ghost was an original part of the attraction at Disneyland, and he'd appear near the attic of the ride to remove his head, only for it to then reappear in his hatbox. At least, that was the idea, but the illusion didn't quite work properly. Eventually, the HATBOX Ghost was removed, but this didn't stop guests from speculating as to his whereabouts. Over the years, the HATBOX Ghost has built up quite a cult following, with rumors that he's actually the groom of the ghostly bride we see throughout the attraction. While it appeared that the figure was gone for good, to celebrate Disneyland's 60th anniversary, he took up his haunting duties once more, proving that there really is always room for one more ghost at the Haunted Mansion. Number 9. Pet Cemetery. To the side of the attraction is a graveyard full of tombs dedicated to a number of dearly departed pets. These include Buddy the dog, our friend to the end, Lilac the skunk, long on curiosity, short on sense, and long-legged Jeb, who got tangled up in his very own web. Mr. Toad from Wind in the Willows has a tombstone in his honor at the pet cemetery too. It seems that all the crazy driving caught up with him in the end. Bad driving can kill. Remember that. Number 8. Hearing voices. Throughout the ride, you're introduced to a number of ghastly and ghoulish characters who talk to you and help you on your journey through the underworld. But there may be something spookily familiar about those haunting voices, and that's because a number of them have provided some rather well-known voice work outside of the Haunted Mansion. The man of 1,000 voices, Paul Frees, is the voice of the infamous Ghost Host, and you may remember him as the voice of Boris in the Rocky and Bullwinkle show. The singing busts in the graveyard are led by Uncle Theodore, voiced by Thurl Ravenscroft of You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, and Tony the Tiger fame. He's great. I'm not going to do a voice. Another recognizable voice you'll hear is that of Eleanor Audley, who voiced the wicked stepmother Lady Tremaine in Cinderella and the mistress of all evil, Sleeping Beauty's Maleficent. Number 7. Ashes to Ashes. One deadly serious problem at Disney parks is that a lot of people want to have their ashes scattered there. Why wouldn't you? It is known as the happiest place on earth after all, even if that is super weird. Somewhat fittingly, given the theme of the ride, one of the most popular destinations for this is the Haunted Mansion. Now, understandably, from Disney's point of view, this isn't actually permitted because nobody wants bits of dead people floating around, but that doesn't exactly deter people, and there have been a number of incidents over the years of people scattering the ashes of beloved ones throughout the mansion. Cast members now have to keep an eye out for this on surveillance cameras, and Disney even have special equipment to handle any spilled remains. Disgusting. Number 6. The Stretch Room. When you first enter the Haunted Mansion, you're taken into an octagonal room with a high ceiling and a number of portraits adorning the walls. These include a balding man dressed in a black tailcoat, an old woman smiling with a red rose, a brown-haired man in a brown suit, and a young brunette lady with a pink parasol. Make sure you move to the dead center of the room, however, as when it begins to stretch, it reveals the more macabre side of the paintings. The tail-coated man isn't wearing any trousers. Constance Hatchaway sits atop her husband's tombstone. The brown-haired man is on top of another's shoulders, and there's a third man underneath him trapped in quicksand. And finally, the young lady is on a fraying tightrope above an alligator. The question, once you're over the shock, is whether the room is actually stretching. Well, sort of. In California and Paris, to save space, guests are descending to a level where the ride starts, but in Tokyo and Orlando, parks which have more room to play with, the ceiling rises upwards. Number 5. The Story. Over the years, fans have come up with their own storylines for the ride, but now Disney have created an official one. When the Magic Kingdom attraction was updated in 2011, Disney included the story of the bride, Constance Hatchaway. We get our first glimpse of Constance in the Stretch Room. She's the old lady with the rose who turns out to be sitting on the grave of her husband. You remember? There it is. She then appears later in the ride, but this time she's much younger, and as you travel through the attic, you see Constance has been married 5 times. In the portraits with her various different husbands, each one loses their head. Literally. When you finally meet Constance, she is reciting her wedding vows rather menacingly, gleefully holding a hatchet. The perfect murder weapon for a woman named Hatchaway. To top it all off, you can even see the bride's discarded engagement ring thrown from the attic and embedded in the graveyard. Number 4. Easter eggs galore. There are loads! Here are some. If you enter through the disabled access, you'll be treated to a visit to the servants' quarters, where you will see valet bells dedicated to Imagineers who worked on the ride. At night, you can spot ghostly figures moving in the upstairs windows. There are 13 hours on the clock and 13 candles on the cake in the ballroom. Have we seen the dog in the graveyard scene before? The dog represents Walt Disney's beloved pet Rover, and Rover can also be seen in the jail scene in Pirates of the Caribbean and in the Carousel of Progress. Finally, the opera singing woman at the end of the ride tells us that the attraction has nearly come to an end. After all, it's not over until the fat lady sings. Number 3. Pepper's Ghost. Pepper's Ghost is a popular form of illusion used across a variety of entertainment venues, such as amusement parks, museums, and concerts. The basic concept involves using different rooms or stages, mirrors, and lighting, all of which create the illusion of objects appearing or disappearing. The largest example of the technique found anywhere in the world, though, is at Haunted Mansion. Here it's used to create one of the most iconic scenes on the ride, the ballroom dancing sequence in which ghosts appear dancing. In this case, there are actual animatronics hidden out of sight, and their reflections are used to create the illusion of ghosts in the ballroom. Incidentally, the dueling ghosts in the ballroom scene are animatronics that were once in Pirates of the Caribbean, and one of them is the auctioneer from the famous scene where the pirates are all bidding over the red-headed lady. Number 2. Hitching a Ride. As you come towards the end of the ride, having encountered all manner of creepy characters, a few ghosts want to come along for the ride. You'll see 3 hitchhiking ghosts asking for a lift, and then as you pass by mirrors, they will appear on top of your carts, getting up to all kinds of antics. These are the Prisoner, the Traveller, and the Skeleton. Though they didn't actually initially have names, fanfiction created by cast members gave them the names of Gus, Phineas, and Ezra, and these have since been adopted into official merchandise. As of April 2016, Disney introduced technology so that when you pass the mirrors and the ghosts appear on your Doom buggy, they hold up a sign with your name on, which is not at all disconcerting. Number 1. This attraction will slay you. This one's more of a fan theory than anything else actually confirmed as being part of the Haunted Mansion canon, but it makes a hell of a lot of sense and fits with the dark theme of the ride. When you're in the stretch room, your ghost host tells you that the only way to escape the mansion is to die. Then as your journey continues, you make your way up to the attic and the cart you're in spins around and goes backwards, and you seem to fall to your death. After this, all of the ghosts are a lot more willing to come closer to you and throw a party in celebration of your demise and entry to the afterlife. Take a close look at who the caretaker is nervously looking at. It isn't a ghost, it's you. Also, he's the only living person in the graveyard, suggesting that you too are now not part of the mortal world. The cast members actually used to give out death certificates to those visitors in the know enough to ask for them, but the spread of this online put a stop to it. And that's our list. Make sure you subscribe to the Whatculture YouTube channel for more lists like this, and don't forget to visit whatculture.com for daily news and articles. I'm Ben from Whatculture, and thanks for watching.
Oh, hello there. I'm billionaire philanthropist, not Bruce Wayne, and as you may have heard, we've actually started up a Whatculture comics channel. Oh, that's better. Where you can go for all the comics lists, all the comics news, and all the comics discussion. So go and subscribe to Whatculture Comics for loads of amazing comics coverage.